welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. And we literally just said I was going to screw it up, but I was so close. So close. Nah, I'm not gonna fix it this week. We're just rolling with it. So this show's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host, little Mr. Parumpa-Pum-Pum himself, Garrett Ray. And joining me as always, it's my good friend and co-host. He's cooler than a $300 flamethrower. It's Andy Delia.
Thank you. I would like to think so. Sometimes my temper does get the better of me, but not always.
No, I just mean like that's a cool thing to find, but you're cooler. That's like you're more awesome.
Yeah, my vat of useless information and knowledge.
I'd love to just dip my hands in and wash my grubby little fingers with all that knowledge. Well, if you've never joined us before,
welcome.
Sorry. Basically, what we do is a spoiler-free review of this week's movie up front, and then we'll jump into spoilers, and then we'll get into news. There is no Internet Movie of the Week this week because both Andy and I have to work, so we ran out of time to watch things. But we'll be jumping back on that as soon as possible. But this week, we are talking about The Monkey. And by the way, if you want to jump to spoilers or anything like that, there are time codes down in the show notes. So make sure you look at that. And then also, if you're listening on Spotify, you can vote good, bad, great, or terrible. What did you think of the movie? I do feel the need to remind you that it is not a vote for how well you think we did. It's about the movie.
It's about the movie.
So if you're just hitting terrible because you're voting on us, go to our social media at Grand Review Pod and tell us there. Don't mess with the. No, I'm just being obtuse.
Oh, I thought somebody really said they were horrible, but at least that means somebody's listening. So that, yay, I'll take it.
Oh goodness. So anyway, we're talking about The Monkey. This is the newest movie from director Osgood Perkins. Who did Long Legs?
One of my favorite films of last year.
This podcast is in stereo. If you like so many times, we're like meeting up right there. So it's a horror film, horror comedy. I suppose you would probably kind of label it as.
Definitely horror comedy.
Yeah, and it has been out for a total of 1 day, and I believe last night in previews it made $1.5 million.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good
because Neon Pictures is the one behind that. So
yes, and I believe it's their highest opening preview day of all time for Neon.
Well, yeah, thanks to Long Legs. And like they've been really hyping it that way too. That it's the collaboration between Perkins and James Wan and Stephen King. Yep. Yeah, that's the ad campaign for this has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to be paying off for them because quite the turnout. This one is it's a movie that stars people that like you've seen around but aren't necessarily like the big names, which is why they were able to do this for $10 to $11 million is what the budget is on this.
Yeah, I thought it was like 10.
Yeah, it's
very low.
It's very low, but it looks like it's not a $10 million movie.
Well, some of the special effects in some scenes are, but I think they were done that way on purpose.
Yeah, I think some of that we have to get into spoilers for.
There's one in particular that stands out for me that was just so ridiculous, but it was really funny. I'm pretty sure
we're thinking of the same one. Yeah. Okay. But on the show, we always start with your thoughts, Andy. So good, bad, great, or terrible, and your thoughts on The Monkey.
I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked the comedy aspect of it. I liked that I laughed a lot through it. The death scenes are just utterly ridiculous and over the top. And some of them I have never seen before in horror films. So,
really?
Originality is a good thing for me.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of horror films.
Yeah, I have, and this is something different. I like the storyline and the end result of it, and I'll explain more in spoilers when we get to that. But for a B horror film, which is generally what this is, it's a lot better than some of the things I've seen, and probably better than any of the Popeye things that we've dug up lately.
Yeah, I've got some news about one of those later.
Yeah, I almost know what it is because I saw that this week too, and I was like, I'm not going to steal Garrett's thunder. But I thought it was good. I thought it was enjoyable. Now, my wife, on the other hand, poor Jessica, that got dragged to this last night too. She absolutely hated it, and I had to hear so much of it all the way home last night how much she hated it.
You knew that was going to happen, though, going in.
I was hoping she would like it a little bit more, but that's where she's like, see, this is where you and Drew have a lot in common. You both like some really bad movies. And I was like, yeah, I can't really argue with that.
I believe her exact quote last night was, "Is this one even worth reviewing?"
Yeah.
And yeah, you were like, yes. And I was like, oh boy, that's going to be a fun car ride home.
So let's see if I'm right from last night. So what are your thoughts, Garrett?
Okay. So last night I was teasing everyone I was trying to do the best poker face I could.
Yeah.
You think what do you think my rating
I thought
is?
you liked it.
Okay. I had fun and never want to see it again.
Okay, that's close to what I thought.
So I have so as a impartial reviewer looking at it as a product, an entertainment product, I'd give it a good. I think that it's well shot. I think that the color palette, while being like, it's that, warms and cools, contrasting colors and stuff. It just works for the movie and how kind of over the top and whimsical it is. It's very vibrant and saturated, and the monkey prop is incredible. Like, it looks so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had fun and I laughed a lot. That being said, my non-impartial review is that I don't need to revisit this ever because. Mainly because of the nihilism.
Okay.
So let me put it this way. I imagine this is what drinking alcohol is like in your college years. Like, you go out and you're having a fun time and you're like, yeah, this is pretty great. And you're swigging another one. And then you wake up the next morning and go, I don't feel so good about that anymore.
No, I had fun when I drank during college. So this is a little bit different for me.
I just felt like I had a emotional or spiritual hangover by the time the credits rolled, because there's a basically the idea that's being put forth through most of the movie is everything's an accident or nothing is, it doesn't matter, which is textbook nihilism.
I'm kind of curious what the actual story to it is that King wrote.
I was curious about that too. I didn't have time to go look it up because I've been editing, but it was like, I'm sitting there watching it, and most of the time going, okay, so Stephen King has dad issues. Stephen King has childhood issues. Stephen King has these issues. It's just that again. I mean, that's all of his stories are just that.
So the other thing I was worried about too was I told you last night, and I'll tell everybody this: Longlegs and this are two very different films.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Same director,
right? But
movies.
This is definitely it's not Longlegs. So it's another thing that if you're looking for that going into this, you might want to rethink it, because Longlegs was definitely more of a very serious, straight ahead mystery suspense horror film that had honestly a lot more better writing than this did. Yeah. But don't let that put you off. It's just something different that the same director did.
Yeah, and I think that if you're the type of person who enjoys just watching gory kills and you're fascinated by like special effects, blood stuff, and all that stuff, like there's a lot of fun in there. And this is the thing I was thinking about on the way over here to record, was just like, I don't think I can say I don't recognize that it's fun. I recognize that it's fun entertainment, but the worldview in it and the some of the stuff that it puts forth as the truth of this universe, if you want to call it that, is so toxic and awful that I just don't like it. And it made me feel gross after. It wasn't the kills.
Yeah.
It was the morality.
Okay.
And I like it's not just toxic. I think that it's a worldview that a lot of people really subscribe to. Well, it's dangerous.
The main divisive theme to this movie is just kind of frightening. Is the whole purpose of the monkey?
Yeah. This idea that it's like life. It's random and it'll kill anyone at any time, and it doesn't matter, and it doesn't take requests.
Right. Well, and then the other thing too that I'm not going to talk about till we get to spoilers.
Okay, yeah. And I think that that's one of those things that it's tough to balance that, as because I value my integrity as a reviewer and looking at things objectively and all those things, which is why I'd say from that perspective it's a good, but my official rating that I would have to give it is bad, because it made me feel when the credits rolled, I felt so gross And it was just the worldview stuff that really just bothered the crud out of me. And I know that makes me sound like a square, but guess what? I'm a pointy boy. So,
but I give you credit for sitting through this.
It was, I mean, like I said, I had fun. I just felt dirty about it afterwards. But overall, I mean, yeah, it's a silly, stupid B movie. But it knows that, and it's doing stuff tongue-in-cheek, and that stuff is fun. And I think that they have used to great effect the smash cut as an editing tool.
Definitely.
Totally works. There was stuff that I thought was funny that my wife did not. And we'll get into that.
Well, Jessica didn't find any of it funny. So.
None of it?
So that's, like, a couple of times where I was laughing, she just gave me, like, the nastiest stink eye. And I was like, I think it's hilarious, but...
I mean, there were times I laughed because I was just uncomfortable and didn't know what else to do. But also, like,
there was hardly
it's
anybody
so
else.
Ridiculous that it is funny.
Yeah, there was hardly anybody else in the theater when we watched it last night.
We were in less of a threat of being kicked out than we were when we watched Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves, though, genuinely just actually funny all the way through.
There's a couple of times I wanted to crawl underneath my table. I thought we were going to get kicked out.
It was so funny, though.
But it's probably one of the best memories I have of us going to see a movie.
Sitting in an Alamo Draft House, wondering when will they come in and shut this guy up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone else who was there. If you were there, I apologize. Sorry. I needed that break, though. That was a good, like, stuff was rough around that time, and Wolves just, like, was a release, too.
Yeah.
So it was, like,
Not to mention it was just a good movie.
Yeah, it was that, plus, like, I was finally feeling okay, and Wolves just, like, also hit every right button for me, whether I'd been in that mood or not. If I had literally come in from a rainstorm where I had been struck by lightning 3 times, someone stole my dog, and my truck had burned in a fire, I still would have laughed at Wolves.
That sounds like a country song.
My dog left and my wife took my truck in. Oh, goodness. But yeah, overall, I guess, it's good. But I think from a spiritual standpoint,
it's morally questionable.
I guess I'd have to give it a terrible on that front, because it literally, like, very early on, it goes like, hey, and all those people who believe stuff, not only are they stupid, they're hypocrites and dumb, and church is stupid, so shut up and here's some death. It's like, okay.
But at least you had a better reaction to this when we saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's because that one's not even trying to say anything. It's just gross. It doesn't even have a worldview.
There's no blood or anything in it either.
I guess that one is actual nihilism. Literally none of that movie matters. Mm-hmm. That's why it bugged me so much.
Okay.
All right, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Okay, what's your favorite murder?
So I have a couple, just because the people, like most of the people they introduce in the film, need to die.
Yeah.
Especially like the one emo kid that like wanted the monkey because it reminded him of his dad, which was the dumbest thing I had ever heard.
It was actually kind of the saddest thing, though, in the whole movie.
The bees or the wasps coming through that window, the one hole in the window right into his mouth.
Oh my gosh. Horrifying. My worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Outside of drowning.
But I gotta hand it to the woman that put her face up to a gas burner and expected it not to go off, and it did. But that's not the end of it. She runs through the house with her head on fire.
After having fish hooks through every bit of her face.
Runs out the front door of this like huge Victorian style house in England, and then stepped into something on the front porch.
It was a big pot of flowers that she like got her like stuck inside somehow.
And then gets her head impaled on the for sale sign in front of the house.
And they don't even change it out before they do the estate sale.
You missed like, so the end of that scene, you went to the restroom.
Yeah.
The cheerleaders were out in front of the house going, hey, here comes the corpse. Yay.
Was that why they were there?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes the last shot a little less terrible.
But then they all died at the end.
Yes. Literally the last thing, they just all of their heads get knocked off by a passing 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
To be fair, that seems like they deserved it now that I know that little bit of information.
But the one that was the grossest, I think, was the guy that got ran over by the 87 horses.
Yeah.
That was just like the cherry pie in a...
Yeah, the narration was that he looked like someone had drop kicked a cherry pie, and I was like, holy crap, it really does.
It does.
Yeah.
Didn't want to make me have cherry pie after that movie last night either.
No, I'm actually I'm now entirely just eating vegetables. No more fruit for me. No more meat, nothing. I'm just carrots and lettuce, that's it. I'm a rabbit essentially now.
So what was yours?
My favorite kill, I think, is the woman who jumped into the pool right after it got electrified.
Okay. And that's the one that the effects on it were very questionable.
Why did she explode?
As soon as I don't even know that she hit the water.
She didn't go in. It was her fingertips touched, and then her body
exploded
split into a bunch of pieces.
Yeah.
And I laughed so hard when her leg goes flying over his head. He goes, "Is that a leg?" And it's like, what was that? But it's so over the top and stupid. And I loved it.
I think it was supposed to be. That it fit into the B style of horror comedy filmmaking that this was. So yes, it had to look ridiculous because I had to think about that after a while. I'm like, that looked terrible, but. Yes, that looked terrible.
Yeah,
so it worked.
Like it's very clearly a mannequin leg that gets thrown at him.
Yeah.
Like it's not wobbly at all. It's completely stiff. But it just there was something about that aspect of it that it's like that kill and the bees are the ones that like defy logic to a crazy extent. But the other ones are kind of, like if Final Destination was also the class clown. And that stuff is all like, okay, those are fun kills, even if they're a little ridiculous. Why was the harpoon loaded at the beginning? But the kill that happens at the pool is just so ridiculous and stupid that I cannot help but laugh.
Yeah.
Like if I was going to make a movie where, a lot of people die for unknown reasons, I love Rube Goldberg machines of stuff. It's part of the reason Wallace and Gromit is so near and dear to my heart. And they do that with this movie. And then it just goes like, oh, and by the way, people explode for no reason. And you're just like, yeah, I love it. I want more of that.
I like the compilation sequence with the guy that roasted his own face off with his coffee maker. Yeah. That was pretty funny too.
Yeah, that whole sequence when they get there, the real estate agent. Okay, so I actually think I might have caught something earlier than you, or at least I said something sooner than you did, because they were in the house and she's leading. His real name is Theo, and his name is Hal in the movie. She's leading Hal through, and he's trying to find the monkey. And she goes, and so pretty much every day, someone just poof, poof, And then he's like, "Can we check the other closet?" And she goes, "Yeah, poof." And I was like, "Oh, she's dead." And then I heard, okay, so you knew at that point.
As soon as somebody gets introduced, I'm like, how long are they going to be on screen?
Yeah, that's fair. But I heard, like, once they got into the room and the lock didn't open, I heard you go, like, oh, she's going to die. I was like, yep. We're both just waiting for it. And it does a good job of building the tension of, like, when is she going to die? How is it going to happen? A shotgun cannot do what the shotgun did in this movie.
No.
But I loved it.
That's very over the top, too. Like or how the twin brother dies with the katanas and the bowling ball.
Yeah.
And that whole effect with the bowling ball with a smashed face, and you see
the
like
eyeball hanging off one side, and it's perfectly in the middle. It says Lois.
Right.
So what did you? It's not like earth-shattering twists or anything. I don't think it's trying to be. You're really there for the kills, is what a lot of this movie's about.
But the thing that I wanted to hold off on until we got to this section is the whole point of, the two brothers find this toy and figure out what it does. And then the ultimate goal is the one brother to ultimately kill his other brother.
Right.
And there is a little bit of build up to that, and it's not as obvious until about the last quarter of the film.
Yeah, I was actually genuinely surprised about like why he wanted to do that.
I understood why, but that was probably the most disturbing thing was the death of the mother.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't goofy or off the wall, like that was actually very disturbing.
Yeah, that was a genuine, and weirdly enough, you know how I always have the most awful personal connections to things.
Yeah.
We are fairly certain. Man, it's been a long time. When I was a kid, my mom had an aneurysm and had to be rushed to the hospital, and we thought we were going to lose her. And so when he said boomerang aneurysm, I was like, that's not fun anymore. Because it's such a horrifying. Any of us at any point in time, Andy, a blood vessel can just pop in our brains and we're dead. How's that cool? That's not cool.
Although after the opening parts of this film too, I won't look at Benihana the same way again.
I still don't understand exactly how he cut her head off. So the whole thing is the monkey plays in the car.
Right.
Did anyone wind the monkey that time?
I didn't see anybody did, so it's kind of inconsistent.
No, hold on. She's the first death.
Yeah,
so they did wind it in the house, and then the monkey got into the car somehow with them. And then while they were inside, the monkey got in the driver's seat, which I'm willing to bet is some sort of visual representation of who's in control. But also, how he get there? And do monkey teleport or no? I guess monkey teleport.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey see, monkey go there. You know, he just wherever. But like, I don't understand those rules necessarily. Like, but it's it's Stephen King. It's some unknown demonic entity that could be. I don't know. It's probably the It clown again, just being stupid. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, the one thing too. The main thing I've seen is it's the best Stephen King film since It. No, I definitely don't agree with that.
Which one is?
What for Stephen?
Pet Sematary?
I really the original Pet Sematary. Yes, I really like the original Pet Sematary. The remake that was done was awful.
Oh, okay. You didn't like that one. That's right. I forgot.
That one's really stupid because it is so far off from the book, whereas the original one that Mary Lambert did in '89 is very close to the book. Like it's almost page for page. There's a little things that are changed here and there. But the whole thing from changing Gage from a boy to a girl, and then generally the film turns out to be like the happy zombie family. And it's really stupid.
What?
Yeah.
It's a horror movie, I thought.
But
you can't do the Santa Clarita Diet in a Stephen King novel. Everyone has to be sad. That's Stephen King's thing.
It's just not what they like. I read that book when I was a teenager too, and when the movie came out, I got really excited. And the original one's really good, but the remake's awful.
Okay, so what is the best Stephen King movie since It?
The best Stephen King movie? I can't think of one. This the monkey definitely wasn't it. I still think the best Stephen King adaptation ever is The Shawshank Redemption.
I always forget that was Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because, it's not a horrible, awful thing to witness.
And it also proves another theory that I've always had too is that Stephen King's non-horror stuff comes across much better in film than the horror stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's some exceptions to that. Like I do like Carrie. I like the original Salem's Lot. I like the original Pet Sematary, but, Shawshank, Green Mile, Stand By Me, those are all really good stories too that made really good movies.
Yeah. Well, this, so here's everything that's come out since It Chapter 2. So that was 2019. Okay. So there haven't been any other like major films, but we have had Children of the Corn remake.
Yeah, didn't bother with it.
Firestarter.
Oh, that was horrible.
Dr. Sleep.
That was okay. I like that.
So that was the same year actually as It Chapter 2, but
Okay.
Let's see.
Dr. Sleep was interesting.
Salem's Lot.
The new one, not the original one.
The Max original.
The new one, I'm in the minority of that. I actually liked it.
The Life of Chuck.
Don't know that.
The Boogeyman.
Don't know that either.
So this probably is the best Stephen King movie since It. By process of elimination, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I never watched the entire thing of Firestarter or the new one. Like I don't like the original one either with Drew Barrymore. I think it's a book that should not have been made into a film because the themes of the book stay much better in print and in your own head what you get from that than seeing it visually on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, I think generally that's actually how books, they're probably always better.
I'm kind of waiting for somebody else to take a shot at Cujo.
We can do a giant CG dog. It's not. It was in Inhumans.
I don't want a CG dog. That's it. But at least it's the original one is kind of revered. When it came out, that movie got trashed.
Yeah,
because most of the stunts was a guy in a dog suit.
Do that again. I will be there first day. If it, not even just the stunts, every shot that's a dog, it's a guy in a dog suit. I will watch that movie twice.
We need to make that.
we gotta come up with some pun on Cujo. The man we cujoled into being in a dog suit. That's comedy gold, and I will hear nothing else.
Okay, sure.
No, the monkey though. I think it has an interesting story about about family and generational curses, and it's talking about those things and the stuff that it's about what fathers pass down to their children. Really,
right.
That's what it comes down to, and the fact that a absent father or a deadbeat dad, which is kind of a running theme in the movie, is ultimately detrimental to the development of a family and so on and so forth. And look, I can't say I disagree with that. However, the whole thing about the monkey is on the box it says, quote, like life, which means, and the whole point is that it's just like life. It kills randomly, indiscriminately, and nothing matters.
Everything dies.
Right. And look, everything does die. So can't disagree with that either. However, the idea that none of it has any purpose is but just awful.
It's almost hard to not laugh at the scene with the mother and the two kids after the one death where they're eating ice cream cones and she's explaining like,
you'll die, you'll die, I'll die.
And I just couldn't,
our pets, your friends, they'll all die.
I couldn't take it very seriously. I was sitting there laughing.
It was funny, but at the same time, Hannah and I, like, just at this, without even, we didn't discuss this beforehand. We turned and looked at each other with this look like, should this woman be raising children?
Yeah.
I think not.
Well, shortly after that, she finds her own demise.
That was not
but like
good either.
Most of the people in this film that when they show up and they do a little bit of character development, especially the one guy's boss, I was waiting for him to die immediately.
That was one of the funniest moments.
Yeah,
because
it was.
He goes to the vending machine and tries to buy vape juice, and it just barely stops, and he goes, crap, that sucks. And then he turns and he steps on a freaking rake. Which knocks his vape into his throat. And then he goes, crap, that sucks, and dies. And it was...
as he exhales this big cloud of smoke.
It was really funny. You know what?
Yeah.
That's my favorite death. I changed my mind. That's the best one. That's so funny. It's like... I don't know how to feel about it, though, because in between all that, there's just this running theme of, like, nothing matters and everyone's
But I mean, I will say at least, like, this almost is another installment of Final Destination, which actually that one comes out in May. Like
they're doing another one?
Yeah, there's another one.
Is it a reboot or is it like Final Destination 17, the Final Destination?
The trailer is actually listed in our system as FD6.
Huh.
And I had to figure it out for a second before I put it on something. I did not put it on the monkey. I had it on Flight Risk.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Once we got the movie in, and then we got the one sheet for it. Because I'm like, yeah, we'll probably end up playing it. But whereas Final Destination, and I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen like random ones here and there that take themselves extremely seriously.
Yeah.
At least that's where, to the benefit or to the plus of the monkey, that it does not take itself seriously at all.
It's very tongue-in-cheek, and it's having fun with all that, and I do like that part of this movie a lot.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's good that I liked it.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't disagree with you. Like, I had a fun time. I just felt gross after, and it wasn't because of the gore. It's purely because, like, they, when the babysitter dies, the priest comes up, and the first thing he does is drop an F-bomb. I'm just like, here we go. And and look, in Hunt for the Wilder People, which
I need to see that. I've never seen that.
Oh man, you got to see it
because that's a New Zealand film too,
and directed by Taika Waititi before he was trying to bomb his own career. But Taika Waititi is actually the priest at a funeral in that one, and he's doing the same sort of thing that this is doing, but it's like it's just kind of off and funny. It's not. It's making fun of it. For sure.
Right.
But this one is like cynical about it.
My whole thing, maybe they were making fun of, in the original Pet Sematary, Stephen King was the priest at the kid's funeral.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I do not want that guy to be my priest.
Yeah, it was one of the cameos that he does.
Yeah, especially not in a Catholic church.
I was like, so maybe they were going to make fun of that, but I was kind of scratching my head at the monologue that the priest was giving too. I'm like, this doesn't really fit.
It doesn't seem like he's ever stepped foot in a church.
Now, if the priest stepped up to the altar with like a glass of wine and kind of like that I think would have been a better gag to put in the film, not just have some stoner idiot go up and give like the eulogy.
This was like there somehow a stoner comedy invaded the monkey for about 2 minutes and then disappeared.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but that doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this?
Maybe that's James Wan's influence.
Maybe so.
I could see that.
But it was just a weird kind of non sequitur sort of thing. And sometimes a non sequitur or a smash cut or a character who seems really out of place can be really funny. This one wasn't for me. And I know people are going to be like, well, yeah, of course, because you're religious. No, it wasn't that. I just think it was not funny.
Right. No, I'm in the same boat that you are. And it's not that I'm a super religious person either. It just didn't mesh at all. It was very out of place.
It felt out of place. And that's in a movie where someone like explodes because they touch electrified water. So you really have to try hard to be out of place in that movie.
Right.
I did like the kid who played Petey. I liked him. And I loved how when the realtor comes up to the car and she hands Hal. She hands Hal her card, and then she tries to hand another one to Petey, and he's like, I'm fine. I'm a teenager who mostly doesn't buy a lot of houses.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really funny. But the fact that she kept going like, oh, your brother called me. Your brother? And like just hammering on the fact that he has a brother after he's lied to Petey about it. He just
told the kid that he was an only child.
I was freaking dying, man. I was just like, you cannot be more on the nose, like trying to rub it in. And I love that.
Well, because as soon as she showed up there at that scene, I was like, oh, yeah, she's next.
Yeah. Well, she already looked pale.
Right. So she was one step away from death to begin with.
Right. I enjoyed that whole scene, though. And she's like the over-the-top realtor person. And I thought she was super endearing. And I actually didn't want her to die. But when she did, I was like, that's the most fun gunshot I've seen in a movie in a while.
And when the other good scene to that, at the end of that, when the cops show up and then Petey says something and then the cop's like, smart kid. And it's like, he's smarter than you are, you idiot.
Right, yeah. Also, was the cop that showed up one of the girls that bullied Hal as a child?
It looked like it.
I think that was meant to be implied, but did she have the lisp as an adult?
I'm not
That's
sure.
when I was in the bathroom.
I'd have to go back and take a look at that again, which I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I don't know how likely I am to watch this again.
Okay. I mean, it's a fun time.
If I do, it'll just be to annoy Jessica.
So do it when you're already in trouble.
Right.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the obvious, like, spanking your monkey line in this movie too.
Yeah,
because it's it's high school kids. Yeah, I was waiting for it actually, because I'm like, well, this movie's not complete if they have one of those jokes in there.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. There are certain things where it's like that's hack and cheesy, but if we don't do it, everyone will be like, how did you miss that obvious one? So there is no winning, and everyone's upset.
And then that whole aesthetic too, with like the monkey shrine, as I put it,
yes,
with the television sets and everything, that was really cool. Like whoever designed that, like I like what they came up with.
The set design for all of this movie is both wonderful and baffling to me because it's like when they're kids, it's 1999. and then it says 25 years later, which would make it 2024. But everything is still looks like it's the early 2000s, and then 1999 was the 70s. I guess because Chip and Ida are caught in the 70s. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
It just looks like a town in Maine that time forgot.
Yes, dude, the one that really got me, they show the sign leading into the town.
Oh, yeah.
And it says birthplace of its locals. And I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on a sign.
I laughed at that too. I was glad I wasn't the only person that laughed at it because I could hear you.
I saw it. I was just like, that's brilliant. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so cool, though. That's exactly the kind of comedy that really gets me.
Because it's almost like, and they never leave.
And they never leave, yeah. My brother...
For one reason or another.
But no, it's got so many fun kills, and the fact that it all comes back around to Hal used to imagine dropping a bowling ball on his brother's head, and that's what eventually kills him. It's just like, yeah, that's exactly how you do that. You know, you bring that back around at the end, right when they're about to recover their relationship and he's had a change of heart. This was the part that annoyed Hannah the most about this movie, though, because he does the they're having their moment, and he says, you know, she was my mom too, and Bill goes, oh yeah. But then they go back and forth on this a couple of times as he's like working through the fact that his brother has the same mother as him. And Hannah was like, they just wouldn't shut up about it. And I thought that was really funny. I was laughing every time he like, because he says, oh yeah. And then he goes, I never thought about it that way. It's just like, you jerk. Because Hal is responding by going, oh my God, this guy. You know, like it's you're feeling that same thing with him. And I laughed about that. I also laughed when he reached out to shake his hand and then pulls it back and goes, ooh. Like, it's
and he
so
kept doing
childish.
it every time.
It's so stupid.
But it's like he never grew up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He's got a stunted developmental, progression.
And we talked about this.
I'm so good at words.
Before we started recording too. They did the same trick for, like, it was the same actor that played the kids, and then it was the same actor that played the adults.
Yeah, so the twins as a younger pair are played by Christian Convery, and he plays both roles. So good for him.
Yeah.
I will say this: Christian Convery is much better as young Hal than he is as young Bill.
Yeah,
young Bill was pretty, and I want to make it very clear, I am not picking on a kid. Like, acting is hard and stuff. He just plays that one role better. And it was the one thing that kind of like pulled me out a little bit in some of those scenes. Like the scene very specifically where Bill stands up at his mom's funeral and is like, haha, mom, like, wake up. You know, he's very stiff there in a way that I wasn't able to quite buy it.
Yeah.
But that being said, he's a kid, so leave him alone.
Yeah.
I'm not, but do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But like that was the only thing the only performance that really was kind of like off for me was just young Bill. But I thought young Hal. That's the reason I thought they were two different actors, because I thought young Hal was really good.
Well, they didn't even look similar. That's why I was kind of surprised when you told that to me.
How do they have the same face, but they don't look like they have the same face? Because they said we're twins, and I was like, you guys could have found people who look more alike than that. It's the same kid, though. I'm stupid and wrong.
Again.
Yeah. As per usual. So yeah, it was a weird, interesting sort of thing to find out after being so thoroughly convinced that they were two different children.
What do you expect from a guy that his favorite film is G-Force?
I didn't say it was my favorite. I said it was one of the best ever made.
Close enough.
Which makes it my favorite.
Yeah.
Adam Scott is in this.
Yeah, he's the dad at the beginning.
Yeah. And I loved this scene, and I don't understand why the harpoon was loaded, why it could reel itself back in. Obviously, monkey magic and all that jazz, but why?
With the intestines all the way across the pawn shop.
That was so gross.
Yeah.
And I loved the flamethrower, but what I don't understand is did he die, or did he not obviously the guy whose entrails were all over the shop died, but their dad, is he dead, or did he just leave out of fear of the monkey?
I think he left out of fear of the monkey.
They don't really like clarify that at
No,
point.
but it's not horribly important either. Like, because it's already stated that the dad left.
Yeah. And I guess the point of part of the story is that it doesn't matter why you leave. You should be there for your kid.
Yeah.
And that's what Hal is learning. That being with him is better than being separated out of fear of hurting him.
This kid was annoying. I probably would have left him too.
You talking about young Bill or
no, Petey?
Or Petey? Petey's got a mouth, but I think he's earned it. I mean, by the way, why is Elijah Wood in this movie? For one scene.
He was probably the most high-priced talent. Like, most of that $10 million budget was probably to pay him.
And all he did was say, "I stole your power," and then threatened to arm wrestle him for his testicles.
Which didn't make any sense. And that's another
funny.
scene that did. Yeah, it was funny, but it didn't really fit.
Yeah.
Because it's like just like the look that you're giving me right now, where you just kind of cock your head and go,
"Yeah,
huh." That's about what I was doing during that scene too.
Because why did he not die? Why did that not come back around?
I guess he was like Elijah Wood was just making the rounds because he's in the Toxic Avenger reboot as well, and then he's popped up in this, and I guess he was roaming around Neon's backlot and going, "Hey, I'm available."
Right? Yeah, maybe so. Like I'm back from Middle Earth. You guys paychecks? Anybody got paychecks for me? I did laugh though really hard when he goes, "I took your power," and Hal goes, "I didn't say you could do that." I'm like, why are you buying into this? Yeah, it's so stupid.
But meanwhile, he was reading the guy's book.
Yes,
when he was working in the grocery store.
So he does. It's like it does show that he really cares about Petey and he wants what's best for him. He's just going about it in the wrong way, but it's the only way he knows. So I think it's not incredibly bad writing or anything. There's some clunky dialogue and stuff, but I also think that Theo James, who plays Hal and Bill as an adult, does a really good job delivering with gravitas things that you should not be able to do.
Right.
And his voice is, I'm sorry, he's got an incredible voice.
He does.
That I want him to narrate everything.
Yes.
It's a great voice. I had the thought last night and I almost forgot about this. It's like if Diedrich Bader was hot.
Like if Diedrich Bader was hot?
Yeah, like if Diedrich Bader was an attractive man instead of a weird lumpy looking man. That's Theo James.
Well, he's the epitome of Jethro. That's why he played him in the movie version of the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's right, yeah. I love Diedrich Bader, by the way. I'm not knocking Diedrich Bader.
I still think the best thing I ever saw Diedrich Bader in was Office Space.
Oh, yeah. Watch out for your cornhole, bud. Yeah. Fantastic. He also was he was in not a movie, but a TV show called American Housewife, which he's just the best part of that whole show.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh, I love Diedrich Bader. He's so funny, and he's such a good performer. And yeah, I need to go watch some Diedrich Bader stuff.
Just watch Office Space again.
Probably, yeah. I don't think Hannah's seen it, so that's got to.
Oh, really? She hasn't. Oh,
yeah.
that's. And it's funny that at one point in my life, I worked in that environment, like working for Millen Bank in Pittsburgh. So I was working for the bank at the time when that movie came out and just sat there laughing my butt off at that because I'm like, that's my office.
Yep. They nailed it in that.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
I still think that's probably the best thing that Mike Judge ever did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Idiocracy's great too, but...
See, I want to see his cut of that, not the studio cut. Because apparently, there's his cut of it that the studio wouldn't release. Like they chopped it up and made it something different.
Huh.
And even Mike Judge just said it's a completely different movie.
Interesting.
So I want to see what his version of that film is.
Yeah.
Because the version that came out, I really wanted to try and I just can't. I just don't like it for some reason.
I appreciated it when I watched it as an adult. I did not get the parts of it I saw when I was a kid.
Right.
And as an adult, I was like, yeah, I think this is pretty funny and has some biting commentary about things that have only gotten worse since.
I think it has more relevance now than when it was made.
Yeah, probably. The time marches forward and things get worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Do we see death at the end itself?
Yes.
Is that
rode a white horse? Yes.
And so, in the face of death, they go dancing. Is the way that this ends, and then a bunch of cheerleaders die.
As well, they should.
And so it's like I don't know what exactly they're trying to say with that, except that nothing matters, death doesn't even matter, so just have fun while you can.
Well, the whole thing. I think initially, I thought what I thought before the cheerleader death was, death was leaving the town and everything was going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
And then the cheerleaders died.
Yeah.
So it was like, is that the final? I guess that was the final on Death's way out of town.
I suppose, yeah.
That I'm going to kill a whole bunch of cheerleaders and then I'm out.
Well, you know what what the realtor's mom always said? God's what is it? God's hitting wonders tonight or something like that. Because they mention a bus full of cheerleaders dying. Like she says, when a whole bunch of kids in a school bus die, my mom would always say, God's taking out two with one stone. I can't remember what she said. It's just like, that's so morbid. Oh, goodness. I want to believe that they're obviously saying something, and I don't know if they're saying... Well, no, I know they're talking about nihilism and potentially hedonism by the time you get to the end, and it's like, okay, well, nothing matters, so just have fun because nothing matters. And there's no... It doesn't matter.
At least I give this film for not going the sexual route. Like, there's nothing...
Yes. Yeah. What a relief.
There's nothing even vaguely erotic about this film at all.
Nope. And the only person you see in their underwear explodes into a mannequin leg.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not underwear, it's a bathing suit.
And
what's the difference these days?
That prop guy was aiming for his head.
Yes, he was.
So that take, I believe, was a true reaction.
Yeah, it did seem really like, is that a leg? Like, who's doing this?
I just want to watch that scene over and over again.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, what's wrong with me?
Nothing. It's really funny. So one thing that I was a little confused about was the fight between Bill and the monkey at the end. Was Bill trying to force the monkey's hand to hit the drum or trying to force the monkey to not hit the drum?
I think he was trying to force it to hit the drum so his brother would die.
And then the monkey threw him.
Yeah.
And then the monkey hit the drums a lot.
Yeah, and that's when a whole bunch of people and
the
then
whole town died.
The skydiving couple came through the roof.
Oh,
the marriage.
That is Chekhov's gun working on the most high level.
Because you see the town, there's houses burning and it's the apocalypse.
And then the bride falls through, and I just and they set it up earlier with the brochure. He's like, look, skydiving, and we do weddings. And it's just like, that's a weird thing to point out, and then it really freaking pays off in that moment. No question, this is a very good comedy.
I changed that. I probably will watch this again.
When she drops in, it's just like, oh no, they did it.
At least this was better than what Hard Eyes was trying to do.
Yeah, but
Hard Eyes was trying to be a horror comedy too and just failed miserably. This at least works.
The funniest thing about Hard Eyes is that they thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. No wonder Sony Pictures is in trouble.
Well, I just can't watch it again. I don't think I can deal with the nihilism. It's too sad. But I had fun in the moment.
Yeah.
So, your mileage may vary, I guess, is what we could say about this one.
So, yeah, I guess to our recommendation is, it's good, but be prepared for what you're going to see.
It's something.
Yeah. So news? Time for news?
Let's get into the news.
Let's do news.
Andy, did you see Godzilla -1?
Yes, I did.
Was it good?
Yeah, it is really good.
Would you be happy to know that they are working on the script and the storyboards for the sequel?
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, well then, good for you.
That's the one though too that we caught the couple having sex in the theater here.
Is that really?
Yeah, we should have known from the beginning that they were not up to watching
a Japanese version of Godzilla,
right? And it's in Japanese too. Like we had the subtitle version, and it's one of the best Godzilla films I've ever seen. It's really good.
I need to see it. Some of the little clips I've seen just look incredible.
It's more of a humanistic approach to it. Yeah. It's more about the people than the monster. The monster is secondary.
Yeah, that's always been the Japanese approach to Godzilla.
And they do it right. Yeah. They really do.
But no Matthew Broderick?
Thank God. You mean Godzilla the Jurassic Park version? That's about what that movie's awful.
Where Godzilla's a lady Godzilla, I guess.
Well, it doesn't even look like Godzilla. The design for that was terrible.
It was because they were trying to gain popularity by looking like a Jurassic Park adjacent thing.
And that's exactly what.
Real bad.
Roland Emmerich, another piece of garbage that he made. He's almost as bad as Uwe Boll.
I don't know, man. Uwe Boll stuff's really bad. Really bad.
So's Roland Emmerich's.
Yeah, but Roland Emmerich at least is like technically capable.
Yeah, but just on a bigger budget. But then I got one forward for you. Moonfall. I'm done.
Yeah. You have a solid argument, sir.
And I never even watched that. I knew better.
Yeah. It's called Moonfall.
Moonfall.
Good Lord. No, I'm saying like you had it right.
Oh, okay.
I just can't believe that's the name of an actual movie released in theaters, but I struggled to get the budget to do commercials.
I couldn't believe that people were sucked in just from the trailer because I looked at the trailer and went, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Right? Who's going to pay money to go see this? I'm not even going to see it for free.
That is the mark of something Drew would love.
Yeah.
All right. So last week we talked about how Clayface had 2 people up for the director's chair.
Yes.
This week we actually have what looks like a confirmation that the director James Watkins, who did the Speak No Evil remake that we both enjoyed, is going to be molding the feature film around the fan favorite Batman villain.
And then there's been speculation on who Clayface is going to play or who's going to play Clayface.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything here. If I have anything here that says who it might be.
I saw the designs that they had online for it, and it looks good.
Yeah, I mean the concept art for it is like, yep, that's definitely a Clayface I'd want to see. And I think this has the potential to be good. Mike Flanagan apparently is doing the script and everything. So
he's a good writer.
Yeah. And so, I have not super high hopes, but enough hopes that it might be better than Joker 2 fully of poo.
Yeah, fully doo-doo.
That's right. That's what it was. That was the good one. Marvel Studios, though, on the other side of the aisle, they say that they for sure want an Agatha All Along season 2, which
I never bothered with Agatha season 1.
I don't even want to, Andy.
And I don't mind Catherine Harold so much, but it just didn't look interesting to me.
Yeah, and it's definitely the most Gen Z thing I've seen them do.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely out then.
But they are also, they said they're open to taking aim at another season of Hawkeye.
That was good.
I liked Hawkeye.
I did too, and I like Haley Stansfield.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to Sinners.
I'm so mad about that trailer though, because they spoil a big thing in that, I think, which is.
But do they? Like that's kind of.
Is it a fake out?
I think there's a misdirection there on purpose.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Or at least that's what I'm hoping.
Me too, because if not, that is one heck of a spoiler to throw in there.
Well, the early stuff that I had read said it was vampires. I knew that was it was not a shock when that finally came out.
Yeah. Well, no, I just mean her being turned because it doesn't look like she is one at the beginning. But maybe she is.
You know, there's that trailer is just confusing enough to make you want to see it.
Yeah.
So bravo on the ad marketing for that.
I want to see it.
Yeah,
I think
me
it'll
too.
be good.
And like I said, I like Michael P. Jordan. So
yeah, he's just an entertaining person to watch. Yeah. So Agatha All Along, pretty much universally by people who are not Gen Zers, agreed it's not good. But the person who created it, Jack Schaefer, she is going to be directing the pilot for a Disney Plus series based on the book Holes, which Shia LaBeouf very famously starred in the movie adaptation that Disney did way back in the day.
Sigourney Weaver's in that too.
Yep, and Tim Blake Nelson as well.
Yeah.
And
but does that really need a series?
I mean, at this point, just remake whatever. It's Disney. That's how they do it. They remake stuff and they keep
and they destroy it.
Why can't I put the freaking words together in my brain and make them come
Patricia
out of my mouth?
Arquette's in that too. I keep forgetting she's in that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But just for like a little bit because it's a flashback.
I like her.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be happening. I don't think I care about it, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay.
Mediocrity and potentially just annoying series the creators are being rewarded. So thanks, Disney.
Okay.
You remember Hard Eyes and the lead in that being Olivia Holt. She is now going to be in a movie that is called This Is Not a Test, and it's The Breakfast Club meets 28 Weeks Later.
Okay.
The look of confusion you just gave me.
So it's The Breakfast Club with zombies?
Yeah. Apparently it's based on a young adult novel, and they're
It's not like Pride and Prejudice and zombies, is it?
No, I don't think so. The story centers on Sloane and 4 other students who take cover in Cortege High to escape a world plagued by infected. As danger relentlessly pounds on the door, Sloane begins to see the world through the eyes of people who actually want to live and take matters into her own hands. So, someone from The Strangers Chapter 1 and someone from Bros, Froy Gutierrez and Luke McFarlane, respectively, are going to be in the cast as well. They're filming in Canada. It'll probably be bad.
We should start seeing stuff for Strangers Part 2.
Didn't they film them both at the same time, I thought?
There's 3 parts to that story.
Maybe it's 2 and 3 that they filmed simultaneously.
I think it was all 3.
Oh, really?
And Rennie Harlan did it.
Well, never mind then.
The first part was really good. And I was, very skeptical about a reboot of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I really liked. So I'm waiting. I know the trailer's in our system, but I haven't put it on anything here because I don't think we're going to get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll have to pay to go see that.
Well, here's something I want to see if you'll pay to go see.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'm going to give you 4 names. I'm going to give them to you one at a time. I want you to just tell me where your excitement for a new project with this person involved is.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, Leonardo DiCaprio.
No.
Emily Blunt.
Maybe.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. Okay.
So Leonardo DiCaprio, Emily Blunt, and Martin Scorsese.
Because Leonardo does do his best work with Martin Scorsese. I do agree with that.
So you have those 3 names. Are you excited for that movie?
Yes.
Okay. What if you also add little cherry on top, Dwayne Johnson?
You didn't put a cherry on top. You put something else.
I'm sorry. I meant cherry-shaped little turd droplet.
Yeah, that's about what you
imagine getting a rock in your ice
I can't
cream.
imagine Scorsese getting a good performance out of him.
I can't imagine Scorsese getting him to show up to set on time.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, apparently the film is. Imagine Robert De Niro's Jimmy the Gent character from Goodfellas, but as a ruthless Hawaiian crime boss based on a real figure who battled encroaching rivals for control of organized crime in Hawaii. The film focuses on a turbulent time on the island paradise when an aspiring mob boss battled rival crime factions to wrest control of the underworld of the Hawaiian Islands. It was a bloody battle, the kind of terrain Scorsese covered in both Goodfellas and The Departed. In the 1960s and 70s Hawaii, this formidable and charismatic mob boss rises to build the island's most powerful criminal empire, waging a brutal war against mainland corporations and rival syndicates while fighting to preserve his ancestral land. It's based on the untold true story of a man who fought to preserve his homeland through a ruthless quest for absolute power, igniting the last great American mob saga where the war for cultural survival takes place in the unlikeliest of places. Paradise.
I'm in. Just they couldn't find another Polynesian actor better than him. There has to be somebody out there. Find it even.
Yeah.
The guy that runs like the food truck on Maui, like get him instead. He can't be any worse.
I know several people who are Samoan that would absolutely knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, it sounds like,
I guess it's just, Dwayne Johnson is a bankable name, so they can get funding and
if your entire casting process is based on star power and has nothing to do with anything,
is.
Yep, or social media followers, like we found out last week.
Yeah,
of course that's what they're going to do. So. But it seems to me like Dwayne Johnson will be the main character in this because it's about, the protecting his heritage and culture and stuff. And Dwayne Johnson's very big on that.
And that story sounds interesting to me.
It does sound interesting. I just wish that there was just one person not in that cast.
Yeah. Well, I can almost say too, like I'm not crazy about Leonardo DiCaprio these days.
Because of his performances or because he's a weirdo?
His performances.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the stuff that he's done the last couple of movies has not been good.
Well, what about Will Smith? How do you feel about him? Would you like to see a Hancock 2?
No.
Well, Too bad. Apparently, Will Smith, he's teasing that there will be a Hancock 2 and even claims that Zendaya? Ah, crap. One of those will be approached to star in the movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely out.
This is 17 years after the first Hancock came through theaters. And while he was on a live stream on Twitch, he teased that Hancock 2 is in the works and claimed blah, blah.
Yeah, but Hancock didn't do that well enough to really warrant a sequel, and people didn't understand it.
Well, it totally goes off the rails from what it promises you, because it starts off as like, what if Superman was a deadbeat? And you're like, yeah, okay, let's see if he can make himself a better person. And then it's like, now what if instead of that story, Superman's a deadbeat, but then he finds out that he's actually connected to this other person. They're both aliens or star-crossed lovers or something.
Angels.
And they're angels. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it was Charlize Theron.
It's a dumb movie.
Yeah, people came out of that. I remember people were coming out of that scratching their head more than anything, and were like, "Yeah, we didn't understand it, didn't get it." And so why is there a sequel? I understand more of a sequel for I Am Legend more than this.
Yeah, although the alternate ending of that I think is better than what ended up in the movie.
Yeah, I did too. Because I know what you're talking about.
I have no idea. They're not giving any details. They're just saying that they're thinking about it more.
Sony really banked on that film being huge too, and it wasn't.
Yeah, they thought we're gonna have another Spider-Man sort of thing, but it'll be our own.
Right.
We won't have to pay any rights fees nope.
But it was too smart for its own good. That people just didn't get it,
and also too dumb for its own good.
Yeah,
it was one of those things where it's. It's someone who thinks that they're using a specific word correctly, and they keep throwing out verisimilitude, but they're not using it for its actual definition.
If Will Smith is going to do stuff, I would much rather him go back and do stuff like The Pursuit of Happiness or 7 Pounds, something along those lines, not this other stuff that he's doing. Like when he just plays a regular guy, I like him a lot more.
I can't even remember the last Will Smith movie I watched.
Aladdin?
Maybe, honestly.
I was saddened that Hannah really liked that last night.
She likes parts of it. She doesn't like Will Smith, so give her credit there. But yeah, I think she just liked the music. But
I just didn't. And it's a Guy Ritchie film, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird, Popeye's Revenge is now available on video on demand.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up when I read that yesterday.
So this is actually available to watch. This is I cannot believe it.
How much do we have to pay?
You can rent it for $12.99 or buy it for $19.98.
Oh, $12.99 is money well spent for us.
Should we do this now, or should we wait till all three are available and then back to back just mainline these?
Just do the marathon in one of the auditoriums here at the theater.
I think that's the best option. Just completely mainline all three movies back to back,
and as a added additional feature, Screamboat.
Yeah.
The ultimate bad movie marathon.
And then we can both go home and cry into our pillows for a couple of hours.
Yeah, but at least that'll make you feel good about yourself that I can make better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to rate films based on is it depressingly good or encouragingly bad?
all of those are encouragingly bad. We can say that even before we even see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness! But yeah, it's this. So this is the one where it's a group of counselors intending to open a summer camp, and
they went the Friday the 13th route.
Yeah, which classic. All right, have fun. Well, I think we should wait till all three are do a marathon. I think that's going to be the best way to do this.
And then I read A24 is doing the series on Hulu called Crystal Lake, which is the Friday the 13th prequel, and they have casted Linda Cardellini as Jason's mom.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like Linda Cardellini.
I do too.
But how do you do a prequel without the main thing that's that franchise? Is it just... I guess they did it with Bates Motel. But
there is a whole story that in the original Friday the 13th that I think it's Pamela Voorhees tells about how the kids were having sex, and that's how her son Jason drowned and died. So there's got to be a whole backstory to Jason there. I'm curious to see what it comes
So they
how it comes up.
They're going to humanize Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea. I like it. Just doesn't. It never works.
I've seen worse.
I mean, yeah, me too. I've watched Disney live action remakes, but there's always this idea that we have to humanize literally every villain. I don't know, man. It's like sometimes you can just go like, nah, that's an evil thing. It's like Maleficent did not need to be humanized.
Yeah, but that's actually one of the few of those Disney live action. I kind of like those.
I couldn't stand it.
See, I didn't think they were that bad.
I just like. And I think
they're better than what we're in for Snow White in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And just the headlines on that are just getting worse and worse.
It is going to be a bad time for us.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I think we should watch that like without a crowd just so we can make fun of it the entire movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a way we can hook up like headphones so we can record while we watch it and just do a full?
They're probably because if we get in a recliner, there are plugs under the seats.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, that we can just fish those things through there and because Disney stuff too, the keys decrypt like a day or two even before we start showing it.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah. We should do that. Just do a full commentary, release it. Like, go into the theater, put your headphones in, and listen to this. It will make the movie better.
Science Theater 3000.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh goodness. So Uwe Boll is in the news.
The Dark Knight.
He's going. So he wrapped production on The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And the director said that his movie is very different from Chris Nolan's movie, so there is no danger of confusion. Warner Brothers has reportedly sent Boll a stern letter saying he can't use the title. As you might expect, he isn't going to back down.
No kidding.
So he was on the Uwe Boll podcast network.
He has this we can't get like anybody to sponsor us. He has his own podcast network.
He's legendarily bad. A legend.
That's true.
Respect game.
No argument.
He's a legend. He says that they sent a cease and desist letter. He said, let me see, this is German. DC and Warner already contacted and said I can't use the title. I understand that, but I told them, guys, remember Rampage, the Rock movie? You use my title. The fact they did that and they called me for permission, they could show gratefulness and say, listen, it's not a Batman movie, you can use the title. I went a little French there, but like, I love the idea. He's like, remember Rampage? You use my title.
How?
Fair is fair. Because he made a movie called Rampage.
Did he do Blood Rain?
Ooh, let me see. Did he?
Because that's Because I tried to think of it the other day when I saw the Army Hammer shot for Dark Knight. He did Blood Rain?
Yes,
okay.
he did.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think I only watched it too for the hot T3 chick that was in it.
Yeah.
Christiana Logan.
And also Michelle Rodriguez is in this. Oh,
and
no, hot chick. You're talking about Ben Kingsley.
No. I was not talking about Gandhi.
Gandhi 2, The Revenge.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you, Weird Al Yankovic. This time he's back with a taste for blood. Denis Villeneuve reportedly is going to start filming Dune 3 this summer.
Oh, cool.
So they're apparently going to...
Is he filming in Texas?
Maybe.
It'd be like they were on Arrakis.
Oh my goodness, that reminds me. There was at one point in the movie last night, they were like, we got to make sure it doesn't get into the hands of the wrong people, like the Russians or the Germans or the Iran keys.
Oh yeah,
it's like that's two countries, man. You can't make something like that. Oh goodness. But yeah, he said he did not expect to be back filming Dune, Villeneuve, so soon after filming Dune Part 2. Speaking with Deadline in October, said, "I'm in the writing zone right now." He's also made sure not to name this third part Dune Part 3, as he says Part 1 and 2 are, for me, like one entity. I'm quoting him now. It's a movie made in two parts. It's finished. It's done.
They should be. That covers the first book. So this Part 3 is really going to be Dune Messiah, which was the second book.
Yes, and this one is meant to, finish off the Paul Atreides kind of story arc. But he said, but yes, like Hebert did with Dune Messiah. Is it pronounced Hebert or Herbert?
I always said Herbert. I'm probably wrong, though.
Like, I knew someone who had this last name, but she said it was French and it's Hébert. But that just sounds, I think she just thought it sounded like a cute couple
I'm
bear.
probably
Maybe she
just
was
Americanizing it.
All right, let me just commit then to the American. But yes, like Herbert did with Dune Messiah, I think it'll be a great idea to do something completely different. The story takes place like 12 years after where we left the characters at the end of part 2. Their journey, their story is different this time. And that's why I always say, well, it's the same world. It's a new film with new circumstances. But he did say, yeah, it will finish the
probably the last good book.
It definitely gets...
Those books get really off the rails after a while.
I tried to just dive into like the basic storyline of the first ones, the first like 5 that he wrote, and just reading a summary of it was so confusing that I actually felt my brain hurt.
Yeah,
I think it was the first time I'd had a real thought in 3 years, and it was painful.
Well, even the first book when you read it, it has a lot of appendices that you have to refer back to while you're reading the book,
and we still don't even know what those do.
Yeah,
but they can explode on you
in sunlight.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
So John Malkovich, he's done the most John Malkovich thing I've ever heard. He refused to be in Marvel movies because they weren't going to pay him enough. That's the most John Malkovich thing I could think of.
That sounds legitimate. Good for him.
So he gave an interview with GQ, and he said why the offers hadn't been sufficient enough for him to accept the parts. He said, "The reason I didn't do them had nothing to do with any artistic considerations whatsoever. I didn't like the deals they made at all. These films get quite grueling to make. If you're going to hang from a crane in front of a green screen for 6 months, pay me. You don't want to pay me? It's cool, but then I don't want to do it because I'd rather be on stage or be directing a play or doing something else."
I think the thing that he doesn't mention is that he got screwed over by DC because he was in Jonah Hex, which was a DC film. He was the bad guy in that. And
no wonder you wouldn't want to do this without getting a big paycheck.
So he mentions all that, and like anybody that knows stuff like I do is that, ramifications of Jonah Hex are still coming back, and that's why you won't do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Hey, good news for people who missed Companion when it was in theaters. It is now on video on demand.
The day after we lost it.
Is that right? Yeah. Only 18 days after its theatrical release. Man, that's crazy.
Same thing with Flight Risk.
That's
the day after we lost it, it was on video on demand.
That is so fascinating to me. Like, it was...
Companion was really good, too. It definitely, like... If you didn't get to see it in the theaters, which you probably didn't, because the attendance that we had here, you missed out on kind of a treat of a film. It's really... good writing, very interesting story, the way that it moved. And, you can go back and listen to the podcast that we did on that, but definitely underrated. And Sophie Hatcher as well, if anything, just to watch her.
She's great. It's a really good performance.
She is.
All right. Well, last thing here, we have total so far, Wicked has 10 votes, and voting is closed. So we can say officially that the consensus of our audience is 70% good, 10% bad, 10% great, and 10% terrible.
Okay.
So pretty, but overall, most people liked it.
So most people had the same opinion we did.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Den of Thieves 2 has 1 vote. It's good. Love Hurts has one vote.
Somebody actually like that?
And it's got good, but I misspelled it with an E, so I don't think it counts. I put G-O-D-E.
If that person is kicked off of our website, you actually like that? Really? What's wrong with you?
If that is you, contact us at Grand Review Pod on Facebook and Instagram. Let us know why.
Yeah, seriously. Why
would you insult Andy in this way?
It's a bad movie.
All right. Well, that's another episode of a podcast, my friend.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate you.
We do.
If you like the show, make sure you leave us a review on Spotify or iTunes. It's the best way to help us out, help us reach more people. We would love to get to the point where more people are able to enjoy the show because they've discovered it. And remember, if you love the show, share it with someone you love. And if you hate it, share it with someone you hate.
We'll keep doing it whether you like it or not.
That's true. We are cursed to do this into eternity. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yes,
we will see you next week. But until then, the only thing left to say is
we'll see you at the movies.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.